Hi, welcome back to You Can Homeschool. I'm Tracy Hagerman, the happy homeschooler, and I'm here not with Pat today, but with a very special guest. Today we're going to be speaking with Shane Eastman, who is a father of two and is a pretty new family to homeschooling. And for those of you who have listened to Pat and I for the last number of episodes, we are veteran homeschoolers. I've homeschooled for over 18 years, and Pat has homeschooled for 25 plus years. And so I always think it's great to hear from someone who's brand new in the trenches. So we have this Shane here today to share with us. And Shane is not the primary homeschooler, his wife is. But we all know that homeschooling at its best requires a family commitment and a positive family commitment from each member in the family. So Shane is going to share with us what I am really confident are going to be some awesome golden nuggets of information of how the person who is not the primary homeschooler, but the supportive homeschooler, can actually provide the best type of support for their family and for the educational journey of their children. So welcome, Shane. We're so pleased to have you here today. Maybe you could
Thank
say
you
hi
so
to
much.
everyone.
It's great to be here with you, and hopefully I can be of great assistance to anybody who's either on the fence or trying to figure out if homeschooling is the right thing for them and their family.
All right, awesome. So why don't you give us a little bit of background about a little bit about your family?
Yeah, so my wife and I have two girls, aged 7 and 5, and we've um, decided to homeschool as a result of looking into what way we were going to educate our kids in today's world. And it was quite a process for us to figure that out, because my wife was working full time at the time, and we looked into, because we started with my oldest in Montessori school, and it was really good for her, for a great beginning, for preschool. It really helped bring her out of her shell. Uh, but we wanted something more to be offered to her. And then when COVID hit, it was really the final detail for us to, okay, this is what we're going to do. And that's when we started looking at, how we were going to do it. And really, it is not as scary as we originally thought it was going to be. And kind of opened us up to the idea of homeschooling anyway was my wife grew up with her best friend who was homeschooled, and she really felt that she got a great education and was really well rounded from what she learned. And of course I too was exposed to homeschooling, so I was open to the idea, uh, just because of seeing other kids that were homeschooled, and it's like how well put together they were, and how well they performed, and such. So that's kind of what brought us to the homeschooling world, and we've been doing it for 2 years now, and we're just not looking back at this point.
Oh, so not looking back, so you plan to continue to homeschool then?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So do you think you would have chosen homeschooling if it wasn't for COVID?
Ultimately, yeah, actually, I do think we would have definitely would have ended up in the homeschooling worlds because of just because the what's being taught, um, and just taking God out of school and everything else, and that's an important part of our lives. And so, really, it just was a great answer for us.
Well, I want to commend you because I've heard from people like we homeschooled, but we didn't have to do it through COVID. And, the name homeschool is kind of a misnomer because
Mhm.
we were never at home or we spent half our time out, socializing with others. So I
Yeah.
really commend you for finding the gold in homeschooling despite COVID. So that's thrilling to hear. So what do you if you want to I know you said you spent some time like investigating. So what do you think are the main advantages of homeschooling compared to the public or even private schools?
Really, flexibility. I mean, if we want to take a vacation, And in the middle of the year, we can, because we just take our curriculum or whatever that we're learning at the time, and or we turn our vacation into an educational opportunity. Everything we do is an educational opportunity, and it's not just a matter of rushing through life and so forth. It's just able to take advantage of every moment, and they really enjoy it. They get more out of the vacation. They get and it's being able to start later or whatever. If someone's sick, no problem. It's just we're able to adapt all the time, and it's just very fluid, and it just works really well for our lifestyle.
Okay, that's awesome. Now you mentioned earlier that you said, it's not as scary as people think it is. So give me that definition of scary. What were the things that seemed scary to you when you were first considering it?
Oh, am I going to be able to do it? Or are the kids going to listen to what we're doing and, kind of fall in, uh, you know, learn to love the way we wanted them to do? And, uh, you know, can we afford it? There's a lot of obligations that you just want to be able to make sure and, and are we going to be able to perform and give them an education that we really want them to have? And the funny thing is 2 years into it, they're way ahead of everybody else in their age groups. So it's like, okay, I guess we're doing all right.
Yeah, it's funny in my book, The Happy Homeschooler, I have a chapter which is basically putting parents' minds to rest, and I always liken it to it's like having a tutor because the tutor's right there, one on one or one on two with the child, so right away when they're not getting it or they need more time, or if they got it, we can move on. So you just you save so much time.
Well, yeah, and it's not a matter of figuring out what the speed of the class should be. You go at their speed, and sometimes you keep them interested and engaged because you're not boring them with stuff they know. They have it down pat, so they can go really fast, or you can go really slow if you need to. If it's something that they're not picking up on, not a big deal. So it's because of that versatility. They're not learning for the sake of passing a test. They're learning for the acquiring of the knowledge, and they're keeping it. It's a steel trap for them.
Yeah, and I
So
love that. They're not learning it for a test. And I have some friends that are teachers, and they said because of the amount of kids in class, they don't know sometimes till they get to a test where the kids are at. So we have that in homeschooling that you can tell right away they're having difficulty or they're not. So it's certainly an advantage. So another thing, I think one of the nuggets that you've already given is you have flexibility of time and flexibility with your curriculum. So two
very.
nuggets right there. So what do you think, though, are some of the unique challenges for parents who are not the main educator? Like you're not the main educator. So what are the challenges for you in that supportive role?
um well, because I work from home, my girls love to come see me. And so it's like, hey, I'm happy to see you, but I need to work right now. But no, it's fun, and sometimes I'm able to actually engage them in my work. If they're interested in something that I'm doing or whatever, I explain what I'm doing and kind of like, okay, the things that you're learning will help you prepare you for this. And I'm sending him emails, sending out emails and so forth. And it's like explains like, okay, this is why you need to learn how to, spell and whatever they might be learning and such. And uh, I'll even have them try to read my emails as fun, whatever. It's like, if you receive this email, would you be able to know what it said, kind of thing. And it was like this because this is a really important, I kind of bring light to why it's important of what they're learning. And so being able to involve them that way, but it's being able to be support. Hey, my wife or my mother-in-law coming to me and say, hey, we need to buy XYZ, and it's like, yeah, that's important. I can see why that's important, and support them in that, and such. And so it's really, and there are times like we have our community day with our curriculum that we do. There's community day, and if the off chance that one of them are sick and they're sick and they can't go, sometimes I'll cancel my day and I'll take them for that and such. And it's just a lot of fun. I like doing that every now and then because it really allows me to see, what they're learning from, at community day, meet the people, the families, and so forth, and just be engaged that way. And and I'm just astounded at the amount of material that they are just soaking up on a daily basis. And just being able to support it is really exciting for me.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned Community Day. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know myself and a lot of other homeschoolers do connect with other homeschoolers, and I think there's people that don't homeschool that don't realize that we're not just at home, isolated like COVID all the time. So can you give a little bit more explanation of what that Community Day might look like?
Yeah. So really what the community day does is it gives them a chance for public speaking. They do presentations, depending on, age appropriate, of course. And, by the time they graduate high school, they would have given a variation of 243 speeches. And, so they get very comfortable with public speaking. And it's basically what the purpose of that day is for the interaction and, group learning, and also learning the material that they're going to learn the following week, and kind of introduce that material in a certain way, and to be able to sing and be do all sorts of like extracurricular activities, music and such, and just kind of fun art projects and science projects and stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah. So things that it works sometimes better in a group, because if you're doing public speaking and it's only your mom and dad, well, that's not really public speaking, is it?
No.
Yeah. So some of the group activities done with other homeschoolers. And about how many people would be participating in these community type events?
Well, in the entire community, there's about 100.
Wow.
But in my daughter's class, there's 12 of them.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
they're divided up in different age groups and classes.
Yes. Yeah.
And is it a
Yeah.
full day event or half day?
It's well, I call it a half day. In reality, it's like 8 to 1.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. So, so for you as the supporting role, and you said some of the challenges are the fact that you're working from home and your family's home. What are some of the strategies you've used that have helped you like get your work? Because you obviously have to get your work done while all this is going on in the background. And you'll notice my hands are flailing. I know this is a podcast going on
Yeah.
because I always think of homeschooling sometimes as a tsunami coming through with all the projects and books and crafts and everything else. So how do you manage that for yourself so that you can be productive?
Well, I have a closed door rule. Basically, if the door is closed, it's time to be quiet because I'm doing something important, i.e., a podcast or a meeting or whatever. Um, but then if the door is open, people they can do their show and tell throughout the day. If they have learned something new that they're excited about that they want to share, then they can definitely come in and interrupt me and so forth. Um, we find it's really helpful to contain uh, the learning environment in one room, to just so that way when you're in that room, that's for learning and growing and so forth. Um, and it just helps keep the chaos down because we kind of started off and it was like I started seeing educational stuff in the kitchen and in the living room and another dining room. Is like, wait a minute, time out. But and it did actually kind of create more chaos for the girls. So we found out that by isolating it to the one room, it really made everything actually a lot easier for us. And it's like just because and the one point I want to make is because something works for one family or whatever, it may not work for you. And you got to, just because someone does something a certain way, you don't have to do it that way. You got to do it for what works for you. And, you got to figure out what your culture is and your lifestyle is, and, just go with it. As long as everybody's having fun and, progress is being made, you're winning.
Yeah, Shane, I'm so glad you pointed that out because that really is the golden nugget of homeschooling, that each family's experience can look really different from each other. And we always talk about that, like in our podcast, we're always like, this is what we did, this is what worked, but take what works for you. Don't do the comparison thing from the other family down the street or whatever. Do what works for you. And that's what makes it so awesome, that you can just build this world of education that suits your family, your dynamics, your personalities. So that's such a great nugget right there. If you hear nothing else from this today, please hear that. It allows you so much flexibility. That's just awesome. So I want to hear a little more specific ways in how you support your spouse. Because I know when I was homeschooling, it felt like 24/7. And sometimes I was just like, okay, I just need a break. And I used to make a
Mhm.
joke, my kids need a break from me as much as I need a break from them. So
Uh-huh.
what do you do for your spouse to give her that break?
Well, certainly there's when we do recreational time, I'll take a break from work or whatever, and I'll take them outside, you know, go for a quick bike ride or something, and just get them to burn off some energy if that's needed. And then sometimes I really enjoy reading with them. I love hearing them progress, and each one of them are at their own reading level, and so I enjoy that opportunity. And any of the math that they're doing, they will do homeschool, and then when it comes to playtime, they'll play school. So it's like, okay, clearly you didn't get enough today, and and they'll play us all. Just roll my eyes and laugh and like, okay, well, I guess we're playing school, and they want me as the teacher or whatever. So it's just so that's kind of like how I will support. And just anything that they need. And if they need something built or whatever, I'll do that too. But that's not real often. But it's any way I can, as long as time permits and so forth. That will definitely I support in a lot of ways. And
Okay, great. Nice to hear that. So, what thing surprised you the most about homeschooling?
I guess the volume of material that they absorb, um, because there's even a Latin uh, element to what we're learning, and they're learning Latin like it's you know for us learning English, just and whatever. And it's just they're singing the songs and so forth, and they're learning Latin. And then the other day, I heard them; they were talking algebra. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? Uh, uh, I remember being in first grade, and I was, barely, doing addition, let alone algebra. And so, yeah, I'm just blown away and what the level of what they can learn.
Incredible, incredible. Now, I understand you have an exciting project that you're co developing with another homeschool parent. I would love it if you could tell our audience about that project.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for the opportunity for that. That's so we are creating a platform, as basically it's going to be a central hub for all things homeschooling. It's called Owl Home Education Network. And really what it is on the initial crux of it was going to be like Angie's List. But instead of introducing contractors to homeowners, we're introducing parents and students to educational providers. Let's say you're getting along and there's a subject you're just not particularly strong in, or you can't connect with your child with. You want to hire a tutor for that particular subject. Then you can actually do a search, and you can be paired up with someone. All the educational providers are going to have background checks. You'll be able to meet either online, in person, or a hybrid version. There's going to be either one-on-one or group classes. Um, and there's also mentorship opportunities for younger, uh, because the person I'm partnering with, Chauncey, she is a veteran homeschooler. And so, she is there, people can be there to mentor newer homeschool parents and forums and so forth. We'll have a forum there online. uh, and also to talk about all the number of curriculums out there, the the pluses and the minuses of each one of the curriculums, and to potentially even get ideas like, hey, what would be the best idea for. It's like I have a student that is ADHD or whatever, if there's a learning disability, like I grew up with learning disabilities, so I know what it is and I recognize certain things and that might benefit other uh, students that may be suffering from that. And so basically, this it's going to be a central hub, is what we figured out. Is like, okay, this is going to be a central hub of all things homeschooling. If you have a question about anything, you can go here, and someone there is going to get you pointed in the right direction, one way or another.
Okay, so when is this launching? This isn't live yet. I believe there's a sign up page at this point that people can sign into. Maybe you can explain that a little bit for us.
Yes. So yeah, the platform is very robust, even at its MVP, minimum viable product. Um, so it's going to be launching July 23rd is the projected date. There is a sign up sheet where you can go to. If you go to the owlhomeeducationnetwork.com, you can sign up and say, hey, let us know when you're launching so we can actually start looking into it. Um, it costs nothing to look around. You can sign up. There's just email and name and email. That's it. And you can look into it. And the then to become a provider, then of course you have to do the background check on top of that. And there is a cost for that, of course. Um, and let's see, what was the other point? I know there was another point you asked for.
Uh, just so I want to know how they could sign up.
Oh,
So
right.
I think you did answer my questions.
Okay. Yeah. So you can sign up there. But right now, we also have a Facebook group where people are coming in and just kind of talking about what's going to be available on the platform. And people that are in part of the group, they could talk about, like, hey, what things are important? Like, what would they want to see on a platform and so forth? And just different news bits that come out as we get closer.
Okay. So my understanding is, let's say you have a homeschooling mom or dad, and they feel they have a skill that they would like to provide to the, larger homeschool community. Is there a way that they can become a part of this, and how would they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on like what capacity, if they want to be a mentor or if they actually want to be a provider, let's say they love teaching math and they want to supplement their income, this is a perfect opportunity for them. It's like, if you love doing something, you might as well get paid to do it.
Mhm.
And so yeah, they could just sign up there. You just sign up the initial platform, and then as we get closer, um, then you'll sign up for the background check and so forth, and then be able to set up your actual listing for what you want to offer.
Okay, so we're going to have it in the show notes. It's the Owl Home Education Network, I think, but
Yeah.
we'll have the link and everything in the show notes so that you can definitely go there. And I encourage you to check it out. It's always exciting to me when I see new things popping up in the homeschool community that serve the community, because I know way back when I started, there were little bits here and there that we were trying to put together, but the homeschool world has just exploded, and it's exploded even more with all of us having to go through COVID. But it's incredible to me how many people I'm hearing that are going to stick with homeschooling now that they've learned more about it, experienced
Mhm.
it, and that. So, congratulations on your endeavor that you're going forward with. And for those of you that it piques your interest at all, please go and check it out. It's coming out very soon, so I think that'll be a great benefit to many, many people out there. So I also wanted to ask you, Shane, do you have any other final words of wisdom for our audience regarding homeschooling in general, or anything you want to share with us?
Yeah. If you're at all, if you're even considering it, do it, because ultimately your kids are going to win in the end. And um, there is another individual I know who has a brother who is a professor. And it's funny because the professor is very validating, because he always talks about, man, I can always pick out a homeschooling schooling student a mile away in my class. They're always sitting up front. They ask relevant questions. They're very much engaged and they perform typically higher than everybody else. So when I heard that, I'm like, okay, awesome. That's like another great validation for what we're doing. So, yes, you're going to do great. Just do it.
Awesome, awesome to hear. Okay, well, I think that's all we have for our audience today. And thank you, Shane, for being here. It was nice to get know you a little bit better. I look forward to hearing more about your platform, your OWL Home Education Network. It sounds like an awesome, awesome platform for homeschoolers around the globe. So we're just thrilled to hear about it today. And so, for the rest of you, I just want to say just have a great week. And remember, you can homeschool and it can be absolutely fabulous. Enjoy your week. See you next
Thank you.
week.